Hi, I'm John Zemmet. We're on board a Riviera 47 Generation 2 fully enclosed flybridge. Four of us, in fact, two couples, made our way down the coast in one of these recently, and we spent 3.5 weeks on board. So when Riviera say that this boat is designed for extended cruising, they'll get no argument from me. We're going to show you a little bit about what we did and where we went, and you can read all about that in Trader Boat. Up here in the flybridge, fully enclosed, fantastic spot to be, especially when the weather closes in and you're going through a little bit of sea. The fully enclosed with the windscreen wipers, just sensational. And the fit out, very comfortable. As you can see, we've got everything we need up here. We've got fridges, we've got electronics, we've got room to spread out, and with 5 of us travelling on the flybridge, really, it was a comfortable place to be. Well, we're down here below, down on the Riviera 47, and one of the things with, firstly, 2 couples on board from the Gold Coast down to Pittwater, and then 5 of us making the trip from Pittwater down to Melbourne, this was a very comfortable place to be. There was lots of accommodation. We've got 3 bedrooms here, 2 bathrooms. The one is an ensuite to the master, so it's just a sensational place to be. There's another twin bedroom there. We've got 2 bunks on this side, and in fact behind those doors there we've got a washer dryer, which was very handy on the trip, because spending 3 weeks on board, you can imagine. Coming up a couple of steps, we've got a very comfortable galley. One of the things I liked about the Riviera was the way that the cleverly designed use of space. We've got lots of bench space, we've got a separate fridge freezer, convection microwave, just everything we needed, and we did a lot of cooking on board. As well as that, we've got a nice little dinette and a nice wide and spacious saloon with an ice maker, and this is a great entertainer. Let me tell you, on the way down we entertained a whole lot of people. We must have had 20 on the boat at various stages, and the lounge and the way it flows out the wide expansive cockpit just worked really well. And timing's perfect, Len. This is Len, the owner of the boat, and we made the trip down together with our wives, and a lot of fun, and we're just going to sit down and show you now where we went and what we did. Well, then, this is where we started our adventure. 3.5 weeks on the Riviera 47 fully enclosed at the Riviera factory at Coomera on the Gold Coast. We then spent 2 or 3 days cruising the Gold Coast before finishing up at the Marina Oceanus at
Marina Mirage.
This is where the wives joined us.
Yes, and had a good time there, all getting ready for Christmas, so we joined in the frivolity.
We did. From there we headed out through the seaway and down the coast, with the first stop being Yamba.
Yeah.
This is where we entered the Clarence River, which runs between the twin towns of Iluka and Yamba. If you recall, heading in there through the hole in the wall.
Yes, interesting little entrance there through a break in the breakwater.
It was, and we headed to the Yamba Marina, and that's where we spent our first night. And we got there fairly early in the afternoon and had a bit of a walk around town. And
time for a drink and a bit of food.
Correct. From there we stayed overnight. That was our first night at Yamba, and we woke up the next morning with a view to heading to Port Macquarie, and getting up around 6 AM was where we were faced with a pea soup fog.
Yes, it was pretty white. You couldn't see anything other than just white out the window, so it was a bit difficult, or a bit of a challenge.
It was, and it was all hands on deck. We had the ladies on the bow. You were at the helm, Len, and I was relaying. I was at the window relaying what they could see to you on at the helm, and we were trying to dodge the trawlers as we inched our way out of the harbour there and headed out. And it was probably, what, an hour and a half later, do you think?
That's right. I think it took us about half an hour to get out through the fog, and then once we're out in the ocean, there was another hour before we popped out of it.
There was. From there, once we got out of the fog, it was pretty good running from there, and we made our way down the coast, saying pretty close. We went inside North Solitary and South Solitary Island and headed down towards Port Macquarie. arriving at Port Macquarie some 5 hours later, where we went up the river at Port Macquarie and to Port Marina, where we
That's where our first fueling was.
first fueling. That's exactly right. And then into into Port Marina, where we stayed the next night.
That's
I
right.
think we had dinner at the bowling club, if I recall.
It was a lovely night too.
That's right. The next night from Port Macquarie, of course, we had a situation where we got up in the morning and debated whether we'd make the run to Port Stephens, because the weather forecast wasn't good. It was going to blow up later in the morning.
That's right. It had about a 5-hour window to get there, so we made the decision to go for it.
We did. So at 6 a.m. we headed off, and we put pedal to the metal. And our object was to come down and actually get around underneath Seal Rocks, so that we could be in the lee of the land before heading into Port Stephens. And we got into Port Stephens by around 10:30. And I think it was very soon after that the wind.
Only about 20 minutes after we tied off that the wind came ripping through, so we were happy to be there.
Exactly. And Port Stephens is where we spent the next 3 or 4 days, including Christmas.
That was lovely too, and spent a bit of time out in the rubber ducky, exploring the bay.
We did, and even went up into the Mile River, up to Tea Gardens for lunch one day.
At the hotel, it was good too.
Correct. Okay, after spending 3 or 4 days at Port Stephens, Len, and having Christmas there, we headed off, and we were heading down to Broken Bay in Sydney, and we went through Stockton Bight, and if you recall, that's where we encountered the severe rainstorm.
Yes, we saw that coming, and it was very dark, and by the time it got to us it was very, very heavy, and actually blacked out the radar for a while.
It was, and that's in fact where I decided that the hard top and the windscreen wipers were a great idea, as we tried to dodge all of the boats, the ships waiting off.
They got a lot of use that day, the wipers.
They did. The rain followed us all the way through and down the coast, and actually was still with us as we entered Broken Bay and headed down into Pittwater. Heading into Pittwater, our destination that particular day was the Royal Motor Yacht Club at Pittwater, and we spent the next 3 or 4 days exploring Pittwater, Cowan Creek, and the entrance to the Hawkesbury.
Yes.
Which was sensational.
Beautiful scenery.
Beautiful stuff.